Hey guys, welcome into today's video. This is going to be a brand new series on my channel. It's going to be a foundation a day for 42 days. The reason that I wanted to start this video is that I have 51 foundations in my permanent collection. It's the #2 item, maybe #1 right now, of makeup that I really like testing. I'm really into testing new foundations. It switches back and forth usually between blush, eyeshadow, and foundation, my three favorite makeup categories, probably a lot of people's favorite makeup categories. But 51 foundations is just too much for me to have in my collection. I recently did a makeup declutter, and I will link that up in the cards, where I went through my whole collection and I decluttered, breaking some of my makeup into 3 different categories: keep, declutter, and then I made up a third, which was items that I want to keep for reference but I'm going to take out of my permanent collection and move into the closet, where I keep makeup that I think is popular, relevant, things that I may want to reference in future videos but that I don't want to use in my personal everyday life. But I did not do that with foundation. And recently I've gone through a really big skin change. In the last 8 months to a year, I have gone from really dry skin to very oily skin, and a lot of foundations that used to work for me that were more on the dewy natural finish side just aren't working these days. So I'm grabbing and loving more matte foundation. So some of my foundations in my collection predate my skin change. So the reason for this series, I don't want to just declutter foundations based on memory. I want to retest a lot of them because some of them are pretty expensive. Some of them I may re-love, some of them I may not like or may not work for me now, and it's time to make that determination. So while I have 51 foundations in my collection, this is foundation a day for 42 days because there are 9 foundations I have already made a decision on. Some of them I'm actually testing, they haven't gone into speed reviews, but I've worn them very recently, so I know exactly how I feel about them, but I will have to move them into wherever they're gonna go, keep, declutter, or in the reference pile. And then there are some that I'm testing that I already absolutely love, haven't gone into a speed reviews, and I know that I'm going to be keeping them. And then 2 of them I have already made the decision that I'm going to declutter. Hey guys, welcome into day 4. It is a beautiful sunny day. It is pretty early in the morning. I am getting ready. What is on today's agenda? You guys already know, it's the Haus Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I picked this one because this one Allure Best of Beauty just very recently, I want to say like 2 days ago as I'm filming this. So I feel like this is a perfect time to test this. Let's talk a little bit about this foundation, and then I'm going to go into some of my thoughts about how I remember it, etc. I have mine in the shade 110 Light Neutral. This does retail for $45. It comes in a whopping 51 shades. It has a 12-month shelf life. It's made in Korea. I told you guys that it just won Allure Best of Beauty for 2023. It's described as a medium weightless coverage with fermented arnica that reduces redness and has a natural finish. This is actually supposed to be comprised with a lot of skincare ingredients, and I know that's a turn off for some people, and then some people really love it. I happen to know that fermented arnica or a dilute form of arnica is really good to help with redness and swelling and to speed up the healing process. So I'm actually not opposed to putting fermented arnica or a dilute form of arnica in a skincare product. I know that she puts it in her blushes. I feel like she also has it in her bronzer. I actually think that's really good. It's not going to do it immediately, but usually over time, that's something that really can reduce your redness and promote healing just overall. I was prescribed arnica after my surgery to really help speed up the recovery process and to reduce a lot of my swelling. So that piece about it I like. What I remember about this foundation is that it never perfected my skin. It's one that I have thought about decluttering pretty frequently since I had it, or at least like moving it into my reference drawer. It seems to be that everybody loves this foundation, and I'm all out here like, you know, this just doesn't work for me. It also isn't super long lasting. It does have a natural finish, which is really good for people with dry skin, but now because I'm very oily, this is just not a foundation that I would normally reach for. So the way we're gonna apply it is I take a clean brush to one side, a clean dampened sponge to another side. This time I'm actually going to apply a primer because I have not applied any type of primer before any of my videos, but because I want to give this foundation a fair chance in lasting on my face and not slipping off after just a few hours, I'm going to go in with a mattifying primer. This one is from Milk. This is the Pore Eclipse Mattifying Primer. So I'm going to apply this in the T-zone where I get the most oily, which is mostly my nose and my forehead, but sometimes my chin. I'm gonna let that sink in for just a second, and I'm gonna tell you guys what I normally do in these videos is I go ahead and I apply the foundation with you on camera. We do kind of a check-in. I give you my initial thoughts about the way the foundation looks, Then I finish my makeup and we do one final check-in before I'm done. I do check-ins on my phone right after application in natural light, and then a 4 to 5 hour check-in in natural light again. And then we come back here at the end of the night, at the very least 8 hours, to see how the foundation held up. As you know, the goal is whether or not this foundation stays or goes. I'm almost positive this is not going to stay in my permanent collection, but I'm nearly certain that it's going to end up going into my reference makeup because it's such a popular product. All right, so I think this is settled in pretty well. I usually start with, I want to say half a pump. It's a pretty medium weight coverage. Like truly it feels medium weight. It doesn't run down my hand the way a more runny kind of serum like formula would. I don't know about weightless necessarily, but it's not heavy. Definitely very dewy medium coverage. I feel like it's definitely true to its description. So that about it I like, but I don't really find that this one like perfects anything. Like it doesn't smooth anything out. There's quite a bit of texture right where my pores are, like here. I like the amount of coverage that it gives, and for a lot of people I feel like that's really good. That's probably what they're gonna reach for, is more medium coverage. And I feel like natural finish foundations at this point are super popular. It's right at the time when my skin is changing, and it's when I'm not reaching for natural finish foundations. But when I was dry, like give me all the natural finish foundations you could give me. Now I've got to make the decision as to whether they work for my skin. So let's go into this side with the sponge. Well, I like both sides evenly. It's not a weightless feel. It's about medium coverage and it's about medium weight. The thing is, because it has such a natural radiant finish, I'm telling you guys, it is emphasizing so much texture, like everywhere. I'm trying to like pinpoint the area, but like especially my cheeks and my nose and like right here. It's emphasizing a huge amount of texture. It's just not super perfecting and like lifting. And I get the medium coverage and I get the radiance is super appealing. And this may be good for people who really like foundations with skincare ingredients or fermented arnica, for example. I will say I don't think that this foundation settles into fine lines. So that's always good. I at least know that I have struggled finding foundations that look really good on me that don't settle into fine lines. So for that piece, I like it. Those are my initial thoughts. Let me go finish my makeup. We'll do one final check-in to see how everything looks, and I'll give you my thoughts then. All right, we're back. I used one of my favorite powders, which was the Dior Backstage Powder No Powder. That usually gives me a little bit of added coverage, plus it usually perfects my skin. So I'm trying to give this foundation 100% of an opportunity to work on my skin. So hopefully this mattifying primer kind of locks it down, keeps the oils at bay, so it keeps the foundation from just naturally kind of slipping off of my more oily face. And I gave it that powder to really try and smooth out some of the texture that I was seeing on my face. Right now it actually looks pretty good after I finished up everything. Still just kind of emphasizing a lot of texture, especially right here on my chin. My goodness. I want to love a lot of things that a lot of other people love, but I can tell you, for someone with oily skin, this just may not be their target audience. I'm done now. I gotta get ready and get out of here. I'm gonna do my check-ins for you guys, and then I will see you back here much later in the evening. Bye for now. Hey guys, welcome back. It's 8:30. So I've had this on for 12 hours. This is a full 12-hour wear test. If you guys hear some noise in the background, my son, he is playing on his VR right at the bottom of the stairs, so he's pretty loud and the camera usually can pick him up. So I did do check-ins, and I'm going to show you guys. The very first check-in that I did was in natural light right after I applied it. It looked really good for 4 hours. I feel like the combination of using a really mattifying primer and then my Dior Backstage Powder No Powder was nice. The second check-in that I did was in, again, semi-natural light. As much as I could, I was definitely outdoors, but I wasn't standing in the sunlight. And that was, I want to say, exactly at the 4-hour mark. We were at the aquarium today, and some parts of it were outdoors, so it got to sweat a little bit to kind of put the foundation to the test. So I did a third check-in, which was right at the 6-hour mark, right when I started getting pretty dewy. And that's when I want to say it kind of went downhill. I really wasn't satisfied with the way that my face looked. I wasn't satisfied with the amount of coverage that was left. Back to now at the 12-hour mark, kind of separated from my nose and come off of my nose. I want to say though that this was my favorite wear test of this foundation, and this combination, the Dior Backstage powder, a mattifying primer that I'm actually quite enjoying in the foundation, triple threat. It was a really good combo. I've never had such a good day of wear of this foundation ever. So what I want to do now is I'm pretty convinced that I would like to keep this as a reference item, but I'm not going to keep it in my permanent collection because I need to cut the foundations that I have in half. I started with 51. I only ended up decluttering from that 2 because they were expired and I needed to throw them totally in the garbage. And so that really honestly left me with 49 total, and I want to cut it down in half. And because this is a foundation where I feel like I need to try extra hard and it didn't seem to perfect my skin in any way, I know that I don't want to declutter this because it's very, very popular, but I am going to declutter it in the sense that it's going to go into makeup reference. It's going to come out of my permanent collection. So that makes, since we are on day 4, 3 decluttered, and I actually only kept 1. So far I've kept the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I feel like if I keep this in my permanent collection, I probably will never reach for it. And that's just being totally honest because I could literally light a fire. What I do want to try is to kind of just tap this out. I know we're super late in the day. I kind of want to see what this looks like as I kind of refresh it, because I would like to say that oily skinned folks could still wear this. I feel like before I start making decisions on keeping really natural finish foundations that don't perfect my skin, I would like to get through some more of my collection. So at this point, day 4, we are decluttering 3. I have only kept 1. Haus Labs will go, and this may be an unpopular opinion, into the makeup reference library. And I feel like I may change my mind, but right now that's what we're gonna stick with, because I'm looking at my pile of foundations over here to my left and I'm like, goodness gracious, if I can't make some decisions about cutting these down and being realistic about what I know I'll reach for, I'm not going to be able to declutter my target goal, which is half of these. And I am taking this irrespective of popularity and all of that good stuff. I really need to think about myself, and I challenge you guys to do the same thing. Don't feel like you need to be forced to use things that don't work for you, even if they seem to work for everybody else. I want to stick with that motto. Do not need to follow the crowd. If something doesn't work or if you don't like it, that's your prerogative. That's just the way you feel about it, or that's your skin and your skin type, and have confidence. We will be doing a tally at the very end of the 42 days of foundation. So if it feels like I've made a pretty good dent in some of the other ones, this is actually one that I might pull back out into my permanent collection, but for right now it's not going to stay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys consider subscribing and stick around for days 5 through 42 of 42 days of foundation. I'm out of here, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Bye guys.